Well, hello and good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, February 29th, last day of February 2024. Welcome to the only show about Spartan Dawgs, hosted by Spartan Dawgs. This is Sparta MSU. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, the boss, Otis Wiley. Jehuu, where art thou? Where are you? We don't know, but he'll be back. If this is your first time to the show, we definitely want to welcome you to the show. And if this is not, we thank you for your loyalty. And be sure to get into the comments right now where the chat is at, because that's where the party is at. And let us know where you're watching us from. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media handles at This is Sparta MSU. Otis, man, been a big weekend, big week. I know that you weren't with us on Tuesday, but you're here today, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Good to be back, man. It's been a busy week, but I'll be tonight. We'll be at West Michigan Spartan Winter Tailgate, connected with a bunch of folks over there. You know, you got the Greg Montgomery Foundation, you got Ashton, you got Darren, you got Allen. So a lot of former players that are going over there to celebrate the Spartans, but also in West Michigan. So tonight, as we will go live, that's where I'll be hanging out. But it's been a long week, but ready to talk about some good news of some other sports that's happening right now.
Without question, I'm sure we're going to get some video from that West Michigan situation there. We could put on our social media handles, so be sure to follow us and check those stories out. Otis always has the action with those inside, behind the scenes things, man. But
you would think, but I know Mama Straight be like, "Hey, you need some content, right?"
We need some content, right? Women's basketball plays tonight versus Illinois to celebrate senior night.
Yeah, man. Senior celebrations. I get a shameless plug to Health Alliance Plan. You know, they're the title sponsor for all our senior celebrations, and it's crazy, man. Like Tori and Mo have really gave their all to this university, man, through the ups and downs of their careers, with previous coaching staff and now new coaching staff. I do thank them for what they've done for Spartan Nation. And this year they are remarkable, man. It is a true testament to those two providing their leadership with being able to transition this new coaching staff into the green and white. And so that's a selfless act, in my opinion, that they will go into the books forever of record-breaking, threes that they've done. Like Tori is, from Georgia, right, but comes up here and is a Michigander through Spartan. And then you got Mo, who's, local Saginaw built. That, it's just good to celebrate them of their careers. And I wish I could be obviously there in person to celebrate it, but I know I've been to their games, and I can't wait to see how they do when it comes to Big Ten tourney, which I know it's our transition to that for the women's tournament. But please tune in, watch the game, support. But if you can, you need to go out and you can't buy tickets to go see them in the postseason. So this is this is my only last opportunity. So yeah, I'm glad that we're celebrating them. So congratulations, ladies.
Yeah, that's going to be great. 8:00 tonight in the Breslin Center in their final home game for those seniors. MSU head coach Robin Fralick is the third MSU coach to win 20 games in their first season. That's huge. The other coaches were Karen Langland and of course Susie Merchant, which was 23-14 in her first season back in 2007. But this is huge for Michigan State women's basketball, in that they not only have the senior day tonight, but you just talked about it a little bit. You alluded to it. Big Ten announces women's tourney for basketball sold out for the first time in history.
Yeah, man, this is kind of I think this is a true testament for my old stomping grounds working at the NCAA and representing the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. I've been a part of the Final Fours, since when I got 2017 I was hired, and then 2018 that Columbus Final Four. And since the Final Four has been sold out, has record-breaking viewership, and is constantly grown. And now, because of that, it's trickling down to the conferences, right? It's allowing like the fandom. Like, it's weird when you go in, like, not weird, but when you go to Final Four, people are like, UConn used to own obviously women's basketball, right?
Yeah.
And now you got South Carolina. And now you got you got Iowa. Yeah, you got Iowa. Like, Caitlin Clark is put on for women's basketball, not even college, pro, right? Just in period. So
in sports in general.
In general, like even women's sports. So I would honestly, when I saw it sold out, I was thinking about going. But I was just like, man, Minneapolis. It's weird because Minneapolis is sold out for women, but it's not say struggling for men's, but that to me shows like they've taken the necessary steps, providing the resources. Once you put the resource behind it, the product on the court is great. Like, it has superseded the men's tournament, which has never been done in history, right? So that's congratulations. Like, it should have been that way.
What do you think, kind of contributes to that? Do you think it's the Caitlin Clark effect, because she's such a generational player that people just want to be able to get a glimpse of her in person? Is that what's driving it? And then the men's side being a little bit down for Big Ten standards in years past?
Yeah, I think it's that. Well, let's not forget, you got Ohio State at number 2. Ohio State beat Iowa, so they're looking at that like that may be the rematch in the Big Ten championship tournament, or the big tournament. Ohio State and Iowa meets each other again. You got IU who's balling. You got us who took each of those schools to the wire. Should have beat Iowa. We should have beat Ohio State at Ohio State. Like, this competition, like the top 4 is truly like the ones that you want to watch, and we're right there, right? So
Penn State, Maryland, Nebraska, all those teams.
Yeah. So I think that's the element of like, Caitlin Clark, people want to see it because we don't know if she still can come back, which is crazy to me. But I don't think why. But like, if she doesn't win she wants a national championship, right? Like, you're making more than what you will make in the WNBA. So she's like, ride it out, like play another year.
Put that goal, that career scoring lead so far out of reach. That's absolutely. You see that sometimes.
Then historically, men's basketball straight is like, the Big Ten's been beating up, like on the men's side, they beat up each other.
Yeah,
like all season long, right? Like Wisconsin was ranked, they're not ranked anymore because sustaining the entire season is like there's no longer people that's going undefeated in the conference play, right? On what men's basketball side. So I don't know if it's that or is it location, because when you're in Indianapolis or Chicago, that's the middle ground there, right?
Right.
And I did see Andy Katz come out with potential locations for the future of men's basketball tournaments or just the big tournament. I saw Detroit on there, which is huge too, right? If we can get there in Detroit, that's an awesome opportunity. I know Coach Izzo has always been, lobbying to get that into Detroit. I do believe Mark Hollis has a huge play in that, being part of the sports commission, and Detroit bringing big main events over to Detroit. So look, the sky's the limit. I'm glad that we're here in the landscape because it's going to constantly grow and we're part of it too. But I'm gonna be looking, tuning in the living room, watching all tournament basketball.
Right. That was an excellent point you brought up about the location being in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Because when I looked at the Big Ten championship, a year ago, we all went to Chicago. And this year, I'm like, ooh, Minneapolis, in March.
Yeah, that ain't a good drive. That's not a hop, skip, and a jump drive, right? Where you lose, you got to commit all weekend, all games. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in the hotel, right? You don't know a lot of former Spartans that are over there hanging out in Minneapolis. Not many. There are a few out there that we know about, but man, not a ton. So, yeah.
I mean, and then look, like I know we got our next topic, but like, we often forget the Frozen Four is in Minneapolis. Like the city of Minneapolis is they're balling, right? And it's a whole city, like, all that money is going straight to Minneapolis. Now, Minneapolis is a great host city. People don't realize that the Final Four, that was my last Final Four before I came to work.
Me too.
Here, right? So Minneapolis, and that's where I gave the trophy to Dawn, So
Wow. You gave it to her?
Gave her the national championship trophy. I need to get a photo. And,
yeah, you got to get that one, man. That's huge.
So, and not even knowing that I was going to get interviewed and get hired, and that was my last year. But it was Minneapolis was great to be a part of. Like you saw it, like the convention and all that. They have everything like Indianapolis. Everything is in the vicinity right down there. So, be good.
To the point, women's basketball right now is projected as a 7 seed according to ESPN bracketology. Thank you, Tony G, in the back for that crack stat. But moving to what you talked about, the Fort Rosen for the Big Ten hockey title is on the line this weekend as MSU faces Wisconsin in the back-to-back.
Yeah, I know you had the famous Scott Moore on the show, and he kind of broke it down like the point system and our fate. Like we control our fate. We just have to win one of these. Now, if you sweep, then you take care of business, right? But like it's crazy the points. Like we obviously have the better record, but it's all about the point system. So like we got to go and take care of business. I think the beauty of it is we're hosting here at MUN, which is you think about revenue and you think about just putting Michigan State hockey back on the map from a brand standpoint. This is year 2. People forget this is year 2 of Adam Nightingale's leadership as a coach, and turned it around like nobody's business. Like this has coach of the year. I guarantee he has that already in the bag, right? Coach Adam Nightingale is coach of the year because this is unbelievable. The staff's unbelievable. The guys we have on the ice, they were competing every week. Now the best part is we had a break, right? We had a break. They got some rest. Took care of business of only lost to Ohio State, but beat them Saturday. If we would have swept, I think we'd be in a different space here. But we got to go and we got to attack it, and we got to take Wisconsin head on. So good luck, my brothers. Good luck, fellas. Go take care of business. This is a business trip.
Yeah, this trip. Yeah, it's going out to Madison for this Kohler Center. Yeah, this weekend it's going to be a big one. I mean, we're all going to be tuned in and watching with bated breath on that one because we got to cheer those boys on the victory. They split the game last weekend, as you said, against Ohio State, but they won on senior night, which was awesome. That was a great scene. Lucky to be in the presence of that and seeing that with my own eyes. It was awesome seeing those parents on the ice, getting the flowers with mom and dad, pictures. I mean, that was a beautiful thing. Great production put on by Michigan State for senior night. And as you said, Health Alliance
playing half.
Health Alliance. Yep. Congratulations for them. That's big. So look, transitioning to that diamond, out there Michigan State baseball, Spartans on the diamond. They beat Georgia. I like this. I like the sounds of that now. That's almost – I wish it was football. But listen, I will take this. Michigan State dominates Georgia last night in a 19-6 rout.
That's crazy. The points that they
runs? Man.
7th inning to come behind. Oh, that's softball, but 19-6 route. Like, I was also, like, checking to see if, was Georgia – good, great. Like it's SEC. I don't care who it is in the SEC. They
play it all year round outside.
Yeah. And we went down like that is good. Like congratulations, Coach Boss and squad. Like
Georgia's 8-1. Michigan State right now 3-5. So yeah,
that's huge. That is a huge. We call it the measuring stick of like where we compete with Big Ten, SEC, and baseball. I know Big Ten baseball from a conference standpoint is a priority to level up with the new president, new commissioner, is to level up our baseball and our softball to where the SEC has it, right? So this is a huge testament for us to be able to take 19-6. Like I'm almost like, did they play all their people or did they like like?
Well,
were they down? Like
it was raining and the weather got a little cold, so them boys in the SEC didn't like that.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the north. We're gonna bring the north down there.
Right, first win over an SEC team for Michigan State basketball since March 5th, 2016. Right, so crazy. Hey, to your point, being able to compete on the SEC level, there you go. Yeah. Huge win for Jake Boss and company. Looked like Jack Frank had 2 runs, 4 bats, 3 hits, 6 RBIs. Christian Williams, he had the 4 at-bats, 2 runs, 3 hits. Ryan McKay, he balled out as well with 3 runs and 3 hits. Can't forget Randy Seymour, number 35, just 4 runs on 3 hits and 1 RBI. And so they had a nice showing that day. I mean, everybody scored a run, 19. You know what I mean? Everybody got in.
You gotta realize, hey, that's a also you said a funny stat. Michigan State has now won the last 2 meetings at Georgia, as the Spartans won the last meeting back in 1958. I like when we throw out that old stat right there.
1958, it was playing quarterback for the Spartans.
That's crazy.
They beat Georgia. It just took a few weeks to get it done again. Well, congratulations to the team for doing that. That's huge. As you alluded to a minute ago, Otis, you said softball did score 6 runs in the 7th inning to come from behind to beat UNC Wilmington, right?
UNC Wilmington. Yeah. Coach Show is year 2 is she's doing, putting the foundation pieces together. So it's tough. Think about it. It's tough for these student athletes to go, obviously, southeast to go and, you basically commit your spring break and all time to go out there and play in the warmth. And then you go out there and realize Michigan weather was warm. That's true. Oh man, we can actually play back at home, But but I think this is good. This is a good opportunity to get all the kinks out, and when you come back up here, back home, when the Big Ten play starts, then you'll be kind of steamrolling, hopefully. So I think for both baseball and softball, these are good opportunities for them, good wins. Good experiences that then they can come in back home and go to work.
Wow. Looks like every batter in the starting lineup recorded a hit for the softball team, which is that's a big feat there. As you said, that takes a lot of dedication. Otis, you brought up giving up spring break, which is kind of the rite of passage, if you think about it, for most college students in America. That's the time that those are those memories that last a lifetime. And these spring sport athletes are not able to do that, obviously, because they got to play. They got to play games. Yeah. And a lot of the winners.
This is not even a known fact, or I've never had the opportunity to go out and have a spring break and go crazy or have a good time partying, right? I never, and I don't know if I don't know if I
the whole time.
Right. If I didn't, I don't know if I wanted to, or I just was working. Spring break was my time to go back home and go work, get some money. Before NIL, I was able to work my grandfather in the landscaping business. I need to go get some cash in my pocket. So
exactly, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Right?
I don't know. Hey, they should get back to some of that. There ain't nothing wrong with doing a little work.
Funny. Tony L was on one today. He was like, "No Dak Prescott spring breaks." Dak
got lumped up. Mississippi State
in the same sense.
That's crazy. Go Eagles. Okay, that's Tony L's that's his shot because he's a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, and you know how they feel about those Cowboys.
Absolutely.
So, look, like what you heard so far, please hit the like and subscribe buttons on YouTube, and don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms at the Sparta MSU. And we'll be back in a moment after these messages from our sponsors.
IHOP has tons of omelets, so you can have omelets for breakfast, brunch, dinner, or even a brittle of the night snack. Try the new meaty, cheesy, and crispy mega omelet and add cinnamon dippers for $1. Only at IHOP.
Are you confused about whose interests your financial advisor really serves? Is your advisor making decisions that benefit you, or is he just chasing a fat commission for himself? Spartan fans, you deserve a commission-free advisor with no conflicts of interest, like Trivaloni Asset Management. Trivelloni Asset Management is a fully independent, fee-only registered investment advisor. The company is even owned by a Spartan, me, Antonio Trivelloni. Visit us at SpartansMoney.com. That's SpartansMoney.com. Make an appointment today. Go green!
SeatGeek is the ticketing app for fans like the High Five Strangers guy. Game-winning interception? First down? Just a nice, solid tackle. If you're in arm's length, you will be swapping skin with this extrovert. You see, he knows SeatGeek got him a great deal on tickets, so he can focus on what he does best, smacking palms. SeatGeek handles the tickets to sports, concerts, and more, so fans can fan.
All right, welcome back. Dropping them stacks of them tickets and them bags. I love it. Love it. Otis, we got to talk about something that has been going on. We've had so many great guests on the show. We haven't been able to cover some of the action, but the college football playoff, which we know now has gone from 4 teams to 12 teams. We don't even know if we're going to be able to do the 12-team playoff because they're already talking 14 and beyond already. What do you think about the expansion of the college football playoff and what it means to the regular season? That's the discussion we want to have here.
Well, automatically it means it means that one, fall camp is going to get pushed further up. No more, obviously our summers were gone anyway. We were here training in the summer conditioning, but to flip your mind, breaks are going to come earlier, and then potentially fall camp will start mid-July. So it all depends on that. Could you imagine that? And it's, here, it's not Texas heat, but it gets hot. It can get hot. So it's mid-July, and then you might have your first kickoff game August 15th, or mid-August, even. So we started last year. We had the week zeros. A lot of people were playing week 0. Now you're going to be -2, and then you're having to now. That is a long. That season is longer than any NFL season. That if you're going to go for a national championship, your goal is you need to be in the best position possible to get a bye, because the byes are really king here, right? Byes and hosting, because now you're going to be able to host into your campuses. So home field advantage, clearly at this time, I think about us when we're in, right? We're going to host. Do you think we're going to host in Spartan Stadium, or are we going to have to go like we did Ford Field with Penn State last year? Because you want to be able to draw a fan crowd, and honestly, that is our home base. Honestly, with Detroit Spartans and through there, it's those kind of conversations. What do you do? Because you get a home field bye, or you get a home field advantage. To me, that's how I feel when we went to go play bowl games in Orlando against Georgia, or I remember Florida State and Wisconsin played, and Florida State fan base basically it's a home game for them because you're in Florida in a bowl game. So there's a lot of not only coaches stress about NIL and competing there. Now you got to worry about, can you keep the student athlete's attention for this long of a duration of a season? It's going to be a long season, which I love college football season. I think everybody does. So the longer, the better, right? Because, when you win the national championship, it's just hey, I want football back. So I think it's going to be exhausting, and all the college football committee voting on who's getting what. I think when they left Florida State out, this broke the ceiling. This truly broke the ceiling. And this is the reason why we're going 12. And now it didn't even last, 60 days, 90 days? We're now talking about 14. So,
and beyond.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
There's a lot of thoughts there. You brought up the keeping the players engaged. I immediately think about their health. That's a lot of wear and tear on the young person's body when you think about it. That's why in the NFL, when I went to the collective bargaining table once again, I believe it was 2 years ago, There was, the NFL owners wanted to get another 2 games, from the 16-game season. They wanted to go to 18. That's where they want to go. And they settled on 17 by taking one of the preseason games away. We talk about physical, physiology, right? Like, people only have so many hits in their body. And when you talk about, like, wow, what players get paid per game and all that stuff, yeah. I mean, man, you're putting it out there on the line, and you're only one play away, especially guys playing in the trenches out there. Anybody is one play away that's playing on the field at any time. But there's a lot of bodies flying around, and, there's going to be nicks. You know how it is, Otis, in camp. When fall camp opens up, after the first day, maybe 48 hours around the country, there's not a football player in the country, little league, maybe little league, but high school all the way up to the pros, that isn't hurting, that don't feel something, right? That doesn't need to have some kind of anti-inflammation treatment and, watch everything that they're doing, because, football is a collision sport. It's not a contact sport. So that right there is what comes to mind for me. Obviously, you've seen the money involved. The college football playoff, there's a rumor that it sold for close to $8 billion, just the rights to film that, which is incredible. That's the whole Big Ten, season, 18 teams. And you're talking just one little playoff for nearly the same amount of money. So, yeah, I don't see it ever retracting. I think that it's going to continue to expand. But the question I have is, what does that do to those regular season games? They were already upset that people would sit out, players like at Florida State. You talked about that for a second, right? Florida State, they did not make the playoff. We know that. And then when they played Georgia, who didn't make the playoff as well, I think that's tragic. Those 2 teams faced each other, I believe it was in the Orange Bowl in Miami, and there wasn't a player in Florida State. Like, none of the starters played in that game because it was a meaningless game to them. It wasn't for a national title. So does that now, with the expansion, water down the regular season? Are you, like you talked about, home field advantage? Are you going to start seeing guys play like, okay, maybe we don't want to have home field advantage here. We would rather, we want to buy, so you're trying to play hard, right? Or if we would rather not play against a team that's going to be coming off a bye and have to go head-to-head with them in a neutral site. Like, there's a lot of strategy in this that I think has yet to be sifted through. But, man, it's an interesting discussion here, Otis. Like, so what do you think about that? Like, the amount of games that you talked about, the wear and tear on the body. As a former player, what do you think about that?
Like, why would we even, like, obviously we play where we didn't have a Big Ten championship. Like, so during the season, you needed to go hard, and the best record obviously was the Big Ten champion, right?
That's
now,
right.
Here's what I'm thinking, like, does this affect conference championships? Because if we're already going to take the top 2 automatic qualifiers in the conferences, why do we need to, one, whoever gets the best record wins the outright? It's like basketball. You win an outright or a co-Big Ten champion. Why do we need to face each other for a conference championship in the Big Ten versus knowing we got to play all these dang games for the playoff to go to the national championship? Like, why would we do that? I mean, now revenue, I get it, and revenue for Big Ten and conferences, but, like, why would we even do that from a standpoint of the safety, but also, like, this is another – this is like, rest. There's no need to go face off. Now, if it's everyone's it's, undefeated and there's no loss on the top 2, like, should we just say co-champion if they didn't face off with each other? Like, I don't know. That's the things that I go through my mind. Like, I do.
They're going to want to play that game, though. They're going to want to play the game. As you said, the revenue, they're going to want to play it.
Right.
Does a head
selfishly, we still get we're still a Big Ten champion, but really what's the most important thing is you want a natty. We get that. We all, like, let's see, like, for instance, all the time before it was Michigan, Ohio State will be undefeated, right? When they play each other at the end of the year. Okay, there's always going to be that person who someone's going to lose. So Ohio State gets one loss or Michigan gets one loss. Well, they're still the top 2 qualifiers. And you mean to tell me that now we're going to play each other again in a conference championship versus, you know what, we don't need to. Like, we're just going to seed us right, and we might meet up in the playoff. But, like, that's meaningful to then get to the national championship. It's all those things you think about as a fan, but also just as you sit here and we work in sports, it's like, how is this going to work? I don't like, is Alabama and Georgia going to say, hey, we want to face each other again?
3 times.
Yeah, like, why? Why would we want to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's extremely hard to beat a team twice. You know that, like 3 times.
Yeah.
And then the last one is which is for all the marbles, so to speak. In the playoff. So
think about the bowl games too. Like, are some bowl games going to go away, or is it going to allow the second tier and the third tier, schools to have a better quality bowl game because these host sites? And like, that's where I look at it. Like, I'm interested. I continue to do my research and read these articles like everyone else. It's like, how is this truly going to line up? Because this is like, I go back in how we did the NCAA bubble in tournament during COVID. Like, that was nuts. Like, everything was played in Indianapolis. You didn't know how it was going to get done, but it got done. Bracketology, like, how is this going to roll out? And it has to be done sooner rather than later, which clearly is going to happen, and we'll know exactly how the setup is. But that's another stressful thing that these coaches are going to have to deal with. On top of, like, you want to win a national championship, you're going to have to go through the rigor. You're going to have to go through the gauntlet. Like,
a crazy gauntlet.
Crazy.
I mean, here's a look at the way the 12-team playoff is supposed to work out under this current format for the college football playoff. The first 4 teams get a bye, automatic bye in the first round. So whoever's ranked in the top 4, those are going to be the obviously the conference champions in the Power 4 conferences as it stands today. Obviously, we know that they're looking to expand it from here. Then it's number 5 versus number 12. It's very similar to the basketball.
Yeah.
6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. And that's and the higher ranking of those teams are the ones that are going to play the home game. They're going to host the first round of the playoffs. So, as you said, it could be, say, Michigan State's a 5, 6, 7 seed in this particular scenario. Then somebody from the SEC or out west could be coming to East Lansing outside. I think that's the thing. Just like the NFL, right? When you got to go to the frozen tundra Lambeau Field in January. That's a big difference, right? Versus going into a dome or someplace down south where you don't have that same home field advantage. That's why Buffalo has the advantage they have. But in Kansas City, who's done it for years now, but they had to go on the road this year to do it. So it's going to get into that. It's this NFL minor leagues where it is, man. That's where we're going. NIL, transfer portal, now this playoff right here, and all the TV money and the media money that's coming in. Otis, I mean, this is something else, man. I mean, who would ever thought that the game we played for the love of the game is turning into this?
Yeah, I also look at like schools better get that travel budgets tight and increased because that's a lot. That is a lot of
Spirit Airlines in a minute. Spirit gonna be the charter. Frontier, Spirit, all y'all,
Absolutely.
Delta, hey, I don't know about Delta. Everybody want to show the Delta numbers, but look, hey, this is a great topic of discussion here, man. We can further this at another time, and I know there's a lot of activity in the chat about this because this is very interesting. But man, we're gonna let you guys get off right now. We moved our fire and ice discussion before to next week on Tuesday because it's fitting. The senior day will be on Wednesday, March 6th for men's basketball in the Breslin Center. So we'll see you guys again on March 5th, which is Tuesday next week, with special guests. We'll just leave it at that. And So that's going to be a wrap for today's show. For Otis Wiley, I'm Jason Strayhorn. This is Sparta MSU. Have a good night. God bless. And go green.
Go White.
The show is produced by Tony LaBarbera, Tony Gastella, and Process Driven Consulting. Additional support is provided by Brendan Duravage. On-location technical support provided by Good Fruit Video. Be sure to follow our hosts Jason Strayhorn, Jehuu Caulcrick, and Otis Wiley on social media. To stay up to date with all the latest This is Sparta news, please like and subscribe by visiting our link tree, and tell a friend to do the same. Thank you for your support, and as always, go green.